If you've been watching this channel, you know that my hands are quite big and it's not easy for me to enjoy any kind of mini retro handheld because it's not as comfortable when I play it for a longer time. So I was very excited when they have announced horizontal mini retro handheld called RG28XX. Here is quick unboxing for you. I've picked this colorway, and here is comparison with Mi Mini Plus. It has smaller D-pad, smaller action buttons, smaller screen, but for some reason it's more comfortable for me. When I hold it like this, it's quite good feeling. Up until now, my favorite mini retro handheld was PSP Go, cause it just mini and it fits nicely into my hands and I'm used to it. But this might be my new contender for the favorite mini retro handheld. Let's check it out. So in the box there is just a cable for charging and manual. Manual is good just for the RetroArch shortcuts, we're gonna need those. Now the build quality is very reminiscent to the Game Boy Advance Micro, or what it was called. I never owned one, so I can't really compare it. Here are action buttons, D-pad, start, select, speaker, LNR1, they are not really good as you may expect. HDMI out, menu, charging, this is power and charging indicator, and from the bottom there are two micro SD cards and headphone jack. From the left side is volume and from the right side is power button and reset. So let's boot it up. So we are inside, this is your menu, it's like classical Anbernic menu. Game ROMs, RetroArch games, favorites, history, search, app center, settings. Music, video, ebook, file manager, expert. It has 2.8-inch screen, Miu Mini has 3.5-inch and PSP Go has 3.8, I believe. It has 1 gig of RAM and some kind of new chip. I haven't tried it before, but when we check the categories you can see there are even some PSP games, Dreamcast games, PS1 and all the rest is normal. Pico 8, Mega Drive, ports. I always like to see some ports, and they are here as well. Quake, yeah, usual stuff. I haven't tried this chip before, so I want to see the performance of some Dreamcast games. So let's try Crazy Taxi 2. So here we're playing Crazy Taxi 2. Like the frame rate is not as bad as you can see, it's down here. But when I'm meant to use the shoulder buttons, it's a bit weird. So I think it's better to play games without them that don't need shoulder buttons. But other than that, it doesn't run bad. Forgot to mention, but this handheld was sent to me for a review. Huge thanks to GoGameGeek for sending it over. As always, this is an honest review, so no other deal or transaction has been made. Let's get back into the video. Okay, here I'm playing Soul Calibur. The frame rate is not bad. The buttons are also quite easily pressed. As long as I don't need to use shoulder buttons, it's quite enjoyable, I gotta say. Not sure how precise is the D-pad, we'll check it later. These are all the Dreamcast games included on a SD card. Maybe there is something on here as well. Dreamcast, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Not sure why they're doing it, because I got inside two cards, you know, the internal and external as well. I'll be adding more games because I want to try like House of the Dead and Res and things like that. Now I'm just loading up some games. I just took out micro SD card and put it inside PC and transferred the ROMs. Okay, I have loaded up more Dreamcast games. Yeah, they are here. Red Dog Superior Firepower, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Res. I want to try those. Zombie Revenge. There are no pictures, you would need to add them. I've just transferred ROMs, so let's try Res. Okay, Res is running around 30 FPS, and it's quite playable in my opinion. Okay, now let's do save state. Menu and right is save state. Now let's quit it. Menu and start. House of the Dead 2. Here is frame rate, it's on the side, but it's pretty playable in my opinion. Not full speed, but certainly not as slow as on the Vita, for example. The speaker, when you cover it, you can't really hear anything, so you gotta be careful about that, not to cover it. D-pad is not as bad, I can, like, you know, hit what I want. Plenty of Dreamcast games require joystick, like this one, Red Dog Superior Firepower. If you're gonna play it without it, you know, you won't be able to play it, clearly. But I think you can like remap joystick to D-pad, but then you're gonna be missing some functions. So I'm not sure if it's worth it. Let's check different one. Here I'm playing Resident Evil Code Veronica. It's a bit weird with the small D-pads, but I mean, yeah, I can play it, as you can see. I can go front and back, but yeah, the small D-pad is not really as great. He's bleeding. Just after this short time, I don't have any cramps, and honestly the biggest problem with this was the buttons are just too close together, you know, D-pad and this. Shoulder buttons are crap, but here also shoulder buttons are very bad, but the buttons, D-pad and action buttons are quite far apart, which is, I like it, you know, compared to this is much better. The layout is much more friendly for large hands, I would say, but the D-pad is smaller. This one is clearly better D-pad, and the action buttons are also quite small. You can see it's not problem to press all of them with one finger. Well, I can do this in here, but these are like better. But I guess they couldn't put large buttons, because then they would have to make this larger, and I guess they wanted to save size. Okay, so let's try some PSP games, shall we? Okay, now I'm playing some Loco Roco on the PSP. Looks like the speed is pretty good. And for this game you don't really need D-pad or anything. Underground Rivals, PSP. Now we're trying some racing game. Yeah, it looks pretty playable. Just the 4:3 ratio, but I think you can change it in the settings. For many racing games you don't need anything else, just D-pad, so they're gonna be absolutely playable, like these Need for Speed games. And you don't even need shoulder buttons, you know. You need, but not like for acceleration or brakes. Now we're looking at Tekken 5. It was on a micro SD card, so I want to try it out. This is a bit more heavy game, so let's see if it's playable. Yeah, the D-pad is very small. It's not really for fighting games. But the frame rate seems to be okay, 59. Yeah, I get a KO'd. Burnout Dominator. It's not full speed, there are some stutters here and there, but I mean, it's quite playable. Racing games are fun. And you don't need many buttons for those, or joysticks. Whoa, supercharge. Okay, now I'll try D-pad. These combinations. Yeah, it's like pretty hard to pull it off. Okay, I did it, but when I want to do it yet again, I can't do it. It's not precise D-pad. I mean, if you want to have it for games like this, fighting games that require precision, not sure about that. It's very small, as you can see, very small compared to Mini Mini. Very small. For games that don't require as much precision, this D-pad is absolutely fine. But it's very small, as I said. Here I'm playing a little bit more classical, what is it, platformer, Disney Hercules, PS1, and this is, I would say, ideal use case scenario, because you don't need to press the D-pad all the time. I didn't like it in the previous game when I had to have all the time thumb on a D-pad, but here, you know, you just gotta time it and it's okay. This is enjoyable, because then after a while I could feel the thumb, you know, hurting when I had to like press it all the time down. But here you don't need to do that, you know. Crash Bandicoot, quite enjoyable, even though I have to like press the D-pad all the time up, up, like to go forward. It's still like pretty good. It's still playable. My thumb is not hurting or anything. You don't really need shoulder buttons, so I would say this is pretty good. Okay, here I'm trying Crash Bandicoot Orient Express. This one is also very good. These racing games are best for this kind of D-pad, I would say. You don't need to like press it exactly, just sometimes, you know, to change direction, and it's very doable. But that's just for my thumb. Your thumb might be a bit different, a bit smaller. Mine is pretty big. Oh, that was lucky. I got lucky. For PS1 games that require LNR2, like GTA 2, if they require LNR2, they are easier to press, but if they require LNR1, yeah, these are LNR2. Those are easier to press, but LNR1, not really, mate. Not really. I would say that's even worse than on the Miu Mini you see here. But these are okay. These are doable. There was no N64 or Nintendo DS emulation included on the external SD card, but I can see the folders in here, N64 and NDS, so I'm gonna try to put some ROMs in there and see what happens. I have added the ROMs onto the SD card, and now the emulator should be here. N64 is here, but I don't see DS emulator, so I guess DS is not supported as of right now, but I think it has enough power to play these games, to emulate these games. So let's check some N64. Portal. Yeah, we want to see Portal. Welcome. Yeah, there are some glitches, and I won't be able to do much in here without the joystick, because I can only move the camera. Anyway, it's glitched out, it looks like. 50 FPS. Mario Kart 64 running pretty good, as you can see, 50 FPS. And all I did, I just put the ROMs on in the folder on the SD card, you know. So that was pretty easy. Excitebike 64. Looks like frame rate is okay, but the audio is a bit weird. There are some stutters, as you can hear. But frame rate seems to be pretty good. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Looks like it runs at full speed, which I'm quite surprised, because this one is not easy to emulate. Okay, let me be, I wanna just try it. Super Mario 64. It looks like it runs okay. Just these windows on the castle looks like they're flickering, not sure why. So, you've seen it yourself. Did you like it? Was it better than Miu Mini Plus or 35XX Plus? I certainly preferred this horizontal configuration, even though the D-pad was not as good as on these devices. People always come up with custom firmwares because clearly they are better than stock, but realistically all I need from Mini Retro Handheld is that I can play it for longer than 10 minutes without weird feeling in my hands. Then I need good emulators and good frame rate, and then I need easy access to save and load function. That's pretty much it, and this new mini micro Game Boy was able to deliver all of it. Not sure why they haven't included DS emulation in stock firmware. I think modders are gonna rectify this mishap, cause Anbernic is mostly only good at producing new models, not really good at providing system updates with life-changing features. You can buy this model for fairly cheap, for around $60 on the GoGengi website. Is it a must-have? I don't think so. Should you buy it if you don't have any other mini retro handheld? This might be worth considering. And the most important question, is it gonna replace my PSP Go? No, but it's a good alternative. I'm still loving my PSP Go, as it was truly ahead of its time. I feel like it deserves separate video, because I haven't made one in a while. Thanks to you for watching, thanks to members and Patreons for support. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.